So this is video 2 in our Learn to Knit a Beanie Lefty style. We left off video 1 casting on and joined in the round, which is where we are at right now. We are joined in the round and ready to go. Now if you haven't already watched video 1A where we talked in depth about the knit stitch and the purl stitch, I highly recommend you do that because this might be a little fast for you if you don't. So we're going to start. Here's our yarn, our working yarn. It's from here. And this is our first stitch. You have to make sure you don't grab this tail because if you do, you're going to have to pull it out and start all over again. You want to grab the yarn that's coming from the yarn ball. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. It's just silly. So we're going to do knit 2, purl 2. That's our ribbing. Knit 2, 1, 2. And now I'm going to bring the yarn over towards the front. When you knit, it's in the back. Now we're going to bring it forward and we're going to purl 2. And we are going to continue doing that all the way around. Knit 2. Now this first round could be a little tricky because there's no real foundation for your stitches. You're making that really good foundation right now. So this first round might be a little tricky for you, especially if you cast it on very loosely. And that's okay if you cast it on loosely because the brim of a hat really does need to be fairly loose. You don't want it too tight on a baby's head or you won't be able to get it over your baby's head. Knit 2, purl 2. Knit 2, purl 2. And just for the sake of keeping things even, I'll slide that onto that one. I like to keep my stitches even on my needles because I'm very OCD about that. So we have knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. And you can see we knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. And now we're done with the first needle. So now we're going to go on to the second needle. Now how do we go from the first to the second? Just like when we did over here when we started our row, our round. When we're working on 3 needles like this, we're working in the round, not rows. If you're working back and forth, then it's rows. So we're going to start right off with knit 2, purl 2. And what I do want to say, I'm going to pull this stitch out so you can kind of see. This stitch right here, when you're going from needle to needle, I like to make this stitch pretty tight. You don't want to make it so tight that you can't knit it the next time you come back around. But you want to pull it pretty tight because if you make it kind of loose, there might be a little gap that runs all the way up the hat from where your 2 needles are. So every time you transfer to a new needle from the old one, I make sure that first stitch is just a little snug to prevent that little gap from happening. If you do find that after you're done you get that gap, it's okay. The more the hat is worn, the more the stitches will even out. And we're just continuing in our knit 2, purl 2. Got that extra stitch on there again. And just to keep things even, I'm gonna put that there. Again, I like my stitch count even on my needles because I'm very OCD like that. And you can see we have our second needle all done. And now we're gonna do this third one so we can finish out the round. And you see how there's like a little gap there? That's okay, as long as you pull this stitch kind of tight. You're not actually going to see that. That happens a little bit. If if you pull those stitches apart too far, they do get a little snug and you end up with a little bit of a gap there. That's okay. Just continue knitting and you'll find that that gap goes away. I have just one. Okay. And there we go. You did your first round of knit 2, purl 2 ribbing. Now I like to do my first foundational round in English style because it does not have a real good foundation, so it's just a little easier for me. It's just the way I've always done it. You can do it in continental and that's totally fine. You have to do what's most comfortable for you. So we did our first round. You need to repeat this 4 more times. You're going to do knit 2, purl 2, and you're going to keep going knit 2, purl 2 all the way around, and you're going to do that until you have completed 5 rows. So you're going to repeat it 4 more times for a total of 5 rounds of knit 2, purl 2. Once you finish that, come back for video 3 and we'll do the body of the hat. This is the edging. In the next video, we'll do the body of the hat. And the body of the hat, that video will be very short because it's quite simple. But we'll do the body in the next video and I will see you then.